get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It, Restoration.
Welcome to another edition of the Service Guys podcast. I'm your co-host, Ruel Abadam, and we have your service professional on the other end, Lonnie Beecham. Say hi, Lonnie.
Hi, Lonnie. How are you? What's up, Ruel?
Hey, what's up? We got another one.
Yeah, today
the bad
you need
boys
to introduce a guest that we have today. It's been a while since we've actually had a guest. So
Yeah, I know. We've got the pleasure of having Nick Knobs, as I know him, but we'll have him introduce himself and pronounce his name properly before we butcher it. Well, I think we both first know him from the NSNG group. He's here, live and full effect. Nick, are you there?
I am here. How are you?
Hey! Welcome to the show.
Hi. How's it going? Yes.
Come on.
My name on Facebook is Nicky Knobs because I'm a police officer and I don't want my real name on there so anyone can. Makes it a little bit harder for people to find me, I like to think. I don't know. You could probably still find my address if you really tried. But I have no idea. I actually had a friend. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I've noticed, a lot of my cop friends don't either have Facebook at all or they have aliases. And I guess I kind of get it because you just, I guess you don't always deal with the best citizens on a day-to-day basis. So I can kind of see that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really post anything that's, political or anything. Like if you want to see a million pictures of my kids, whatever, or band stuff, that's fine. But I don't know. I had a friend that she changed her last name on Facebook and it was a different last name. And so I thought she had gotten married or something. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, did you get married recently? Like what, your last name is different. And she's like, no, I put some guy on a 5150 hold and then he sent me a friend request on Facebook. So I was like, oh, I should probably change my name on Facebook. So
5150, that's really... What is that? Because that's I know that's a Van Halen name, album.
No, so a 5150 is it's a welfare and institutions code. So it's kind of like penal code. You have like health and safety codes, all those different types of codes. So 5150 is in welfare and institution, and it basically means if somebody is a threat to themselves, a threat to others, or gravely disabled is the technical term. It's what people call just crazy people, basically. So when someone is suicidal or because of their mental illness, they're trying to hurt or kill somebody else, or they're so messed up mentally that they can't even like feed themselves or care for themselves at all. That's when we put them on a 5150 hold. So this, I think my friend put some guy was suicidal and she put him on a hold and then she got a Facebook request from somebody. So it's very rare.
That would kind of make you want to change your name.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of want to have that a little bit of distance, between. I mean, I post stuff on there of me like at work, but it's usually me like I found a cool guitar or I played a piano at someone's house or something like that. So it's never goofing off or, depends on what you think of goofing off is, but it's never doing dumb stuff. So.
Well, that's probably smart.
Yeah.
They probably look at your stuff, up or higher chain of command probably looks at your stuff from time to time, I would assume. I don't know.
I think you have to get somebody's attention. If you do something stupid enough to get people's attention, then they'll say, hey, why are you posting this or whatever? But no one cares about what I'm posting, so I don't think it gets the spotlight. So,
well, you know what's funny, Nick? You don't know me that well, but I'm a very unique blue collar specialty trade. I do water damage, and a part of the restoration. I'm in the restoration business, so there is a facet to my business I choose not to pursue anymore. I've done a lot of this over the years, but I haven't done it in 6 years. But the trauma cleanup. And so in my Facebook forum groups, I mean, we post mold and we post dead animals and we post water damage photos and we post a lot of stuff. And it's guys with guy humor and guys just racking balls and just being guys. But then every time somebody will post a photograph from a trauma scene, then everybody's like, whoa, dude, what? And then the guys come out and like, what are you doing? We know what this looks like. We don't need to see evidence. I mean, who's to say somebody's not screenshotting and that's like, no written rule, but they pull it down real fast.
Yeah. I have a theory that you can only see so much of that stuff. And then it kind of just becomes like disgust. Like it just, you don't want to see it anymore. I'm at that point in my career. Yeah,
but you're also a cop, and there's a certain, whatever industry you're in, you have a certain kind of humor that most people either don't appreciate or don't understand. I mean, we can talk. I can talk stories with my guys that you would probably be grossed out at, and we're just sitting there having lunch. I mean, and I'm sure you all are the same way. We get kind of desensitized to our lines of work. Even Ruel typing on a computer all day, looking at code. I mean, you can only look at so much code.
Boring.
Before it gets. So I don't like those trauma photos. I mean, you just, in this day and age, when I started this business 18 years ago, we didn't have social media. We didn't have phones on. I mean, we had to carry around an old Polaroid camera, not a Polaroid. Polaroids, and then we used digital cameras and had to upload them. And I mean, it was a whole mess. Yeah. And you just didn't take a lot of photos because you had to. Anyway, it's a different world. So totally. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I was saying I'm at that point. Like I've been doing this for 10 years and I don't care. I don't want to see gross stuff anymore. I try to keep that out of my brain. And I have friends that take pictures and they have like pictures of all kinds of crap in their phone. And I'm like, no, my kids look through my pictures. I don't want my kids seeing anything like that. So
sure.
Much. But,
hey Nick, so tell us about what made you want to be a cop.
So I grew up in kind of a crappy neighborhood. It was like I would describe it as like lower middle class. Like most people had jobs and stuff, and people worked, but we were definitely like we weren't like below the poverty line or anything like that. But it was one of those neighborhoods where like. There's the tweaker house there, and there's the gang house there, and there's the, I don't know, like most of my friends have done time in prison or, like I have a friend that killed a dude. And so like, it wasn't a terrible childhood. I don't want to make it sound like that, but it was definitely not like, what is the Mayberry?
Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah, it was not like that. So, but one of my closest friends, his parents both used meth, and his dad used to just beat the shit out of him and his mom. And from like one of my earliest memories of police officers was seeing his dad in the back of the car. And I hated his dad because I was just like, oh, that dude's a turd, even at 10 and 11 years old. And then seeing them take him away, I was like, that's what I want to do. That's my, that's cool. So I was one of
the bad guys away.
Yeah, I was one of the few, everyone else is screaming F the police and whatever. And I'm like, no, I like the police. They took away what's his name's dad. Like that's, screw that guy.
Yeah. So
I had a different.
Hey, since we're being recorded and you probably sat through an interrogation or two, I do have a confession to make to you since you are a cop, Nick.
Do it.
I shot a guy one time and I felt so bad. I shot a man.
Wow.
Not just to watch him die, but no joke. I can vividly remember this. I was 8 years old and I shot a friend of mine with a BB gun and got him right in the throat. Oh. And then in my 8-year-old mind, we were moving like 2 days later, and I had it twisted in my head that we were moving because I shot him, and I never heard from the guy again, never saw him again. And I literally spent a long time thinking I killed him with a BB gun, and he was riding his bike, and I went pop and got him right in the neck. And then like the next day or three, never saw him again. His name was Keith, and if he's out there, I don't remember his last name, but yeah, he was like, hey, I'm the one that shot you in the throat.
Yeah, you need to find him on Facebook and tell him you're sorry.
Yep, and I really, honestly, I had it in my twisted 8-year-old child's mind that we moved because I shot him. And then I was worried that my, mom and dad never asked me about shooting Keith. And I was like, when are they going to ask me about it? And they never did. And I finally forgot about it until literally just now.
That's funny.
So, there you go. There's a confession for you.
Well, I've never shot anybody, but I've come pretty close, and it's not a fun thing to think about. So,
well, I got a friend. He's a cop down in Dallas, Fort Worth, somewhere area, and he says, man, in his 20 years of being a cop, he's had to pull it like 3 times, and he's in like the gang division, and he's had to pull it, and he said, man, it ain't as cool as they make it look on TV. And he goes, it really sets you back every time you pull a gun out, and your finger is just right. You just move it off that trigger guard real fast and go pop. And then now he's talking about, and I guess it's something you probably deal with way more now in the last 5 years than the previous 5, but he's now worrying with every time I step out of my patrol car, I got 30 people around me with a cell phone up recording every moment of everything that happens. I guess, I mean, do you see that too? I mean, I guess that's probably nationwide at this point.
I work in a huge city, and there's all kinds of different neighborhoods in the city. You can be at someone's house that's like $3 million and then go a mile down the road and there's like an 800 square foot shit box house that, so it's very different, but everywhere you are, no matter, like even in the neighborhoods where they're super, high socioeconomic folks, they will still record you because everyone wants to be that person that gets the next, the next Ferguson on camera, so it's kind of weird. It's weird. And then a lot of times, people will do it and they'll say like, I just want to make sure, that you're protected. And you're like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I'm recording too. Like my agency has body cameras, so it doesn't matter.
Good, I was going to ask.
Yeah. So most agencies now have body cameras unless they're just, it depends on the upper management. If the upper management is so kind of good old boy, they'll just say, nah, screw you. Like there are some agencies, they don't even have cameras in their cars. And so I think that's not a good thing because it ends up helping officers way more than it helps. Sure. Like a case or anything like that, because you get people that they don't know that for some reason they don't see the big box on your chest, and they call back and say like, hey, this officer called me this name or said this racial thing to me, and then the sergeant will be like, oh man, that's terrible, let me watch the body camera because the whole thing was recorded. And they'll say, oh, never, and then the phone just hangs up. So it's like a lot of times we don't even have to watch it because people just say, oh cool, we're going to watch the video, and it just instantly goes away. Yep. So I think they're definitely useful. And then in interviews, there's so many good things that come from them. Like writing a statement, an hour-long statement from memory is a pain, but if you have the whole recording, you can basically type it out verbatim if you really wanted to. So it's a lot easier, but I don't know. I think they're great.
But you have the ability to control the on and off of the camera, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you just got to remember to turn it off when you hit the men's room, right? Yeah, exactly. Like you have it on while you're doing your actual investigation, and then like some people in the middle of a call, they'll leave it on, or like if they have to have a conversation, they'll there's plenty of conversations about me venting about my kids on camera, and it's like, well, you want to hear this, you can hear this. I don't really care. You're going to find out that my 8-year-old can be a dick sometimes. That's tough.
You all can.
That's fine.
Sounds good to me.
If that's what you want to hear, that's what you're going to hear. So it's, so I don't really mind being recorded. I'm not, I mean, this is kind of that libertarian point of view where, everyone is kind of afraid of being recorded. I don't say if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. I don't think that that's necessarily true, but in this case, it feels feels fine. So I'm not, as long as they don't say like, hey, we're going to record you through your entire shift, then I might magically lose my camera. So,
right.
Yeah.
So Nick, you've been a cop 10 years. So you've been a cop long enough to know better, right?
Yeah.
What kind of changes have you seen from start to where you're at now?
The biggest change, I would say Prop 47. You probably don't know about it not being from California, but Prop 47 happened in 2014, and it changed a ton of laws, and it made drugs that were once a felony a misdemeanor. And so their hopes,
like
meth, heroin, anything cocaine based, anything, what's the word? I can't think of it. Pills, whatever, everything basically. For possession, there's nothing you can possess that will give you a felony unless it's for sales. Right. So, obviously, like, jails are overcrowded, and instead of building more jails, which I think we should do, they want to take people out of jail. So what they did was they said, all right, well, clearly putting people in jail for possession is not going well, which I also agree, but I don't think you should not make it a felony. I think you should have some kind of rehabilitation program, but they, I don't know how political you want to get on this show, but they
let her rip.
Yeah. So when they changed that, what happened is they let a ton of people out of jail, and a lot of these people they're now just homeless. So they have no family structure. They have no one to take care of them. And now they're addicted to meth, and they can't even get help because it's a misdemeanor. So if someone like me finds it, like, if it's a small amount, I don't care. I'm just going to let it go, because now I can't, if I take them to jail on it, then they're just going to get released, and it's not even going to get filed. So I'm wasting my time where I could be actually out helping someone and actually doing something. And then if I take it and book it, I'm creating a ton of work, and they're literally just going to go get it again. And so what it did was it created an atmosphere where people just didn't want to work. Like, you don't want to find it, so that you don't find yourself put in that position where now I need to make this decision, and I'm on camera giving this dude his meth back. So you don't want to be you don't want to be that guy that, whatever. So is
that particular substance the biggest thing?
Yeah,
the biggest thing out there.
Meth and heroin definitely create the most problems. Meth is really bad because it's super cheap, and it lasts you a long time. Like, heroin, people just use it and they kind of fall asleep. And then meth, you like stay up for like 3 hours, and then, or 3 hours, like 3 days. Like, I've seen someone where I'm like, hey, when did you smoke your meth? And they're like, yesterday. And they're still just crazy, like railed out. It's nuts. So it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible to watch.
Scary.
Yeah, and you see people where they're literally just sitting down. Like, we had somebody the other day, she like just got released from jail, and she instantly went and found meth. And by the time her husband or whatever the dude was could pick her up, she was already like blitzed out of her mind. And she was sitting there, not really doing much, not moving much. And as a musician, I can kind of recognize beats per minute pretty quickly. And I just kind of put my finger on her wrist, and I'm like, oh, she's at like 170. Like, that's the tempo.
Wow.
Like, she's at 170 and she's sitting down. So that's how people end up dying, is because they stress their heart out, and they stress eventually their heart just says, you know what? I've had enough.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. So that's what happens. Like, officers get in a fight with somebody, and because they have to detain them. So, or, the person's doing something, they've hurt somebody or whatever. And I've been there where you fight somebody, and then you're like, okay, crap. Like, now this person's heart rate is at 200, and I'm just hoping that they don't die in my handcuff. Like, you're just praying that the ambulance gets there as fast
right.
So those things are going up now because of Prop 47, and it, it sucks because homelessness is definitely the biggest issue that police officers are seeing, but it's so out of our hands. But for some reason, we're the first ones that people call, because who else are you going to call, right? Like, you're not, there's some guy sleeping in the doorway of your business. Like, if you want him to leave, you ask him to leave and he mumbles and cusses at you. Like, you have to call us, and we can't do anything with him. We can't get him help because either he doesn't want help or there's not even enough resources to help that person. So it's just, I don't know. Those are the biggest issues. Those are the biggest changes I've seen ever since Prop 47. It's like homelessness kind of skyrocketed, and I would say like property crime. Crime has actually been going down a little bit, but property crime is usually the one that is most underreported, because sometimes, who cares? Like, your window gets broken out and your stuff gets taken. Like, some people don't even call. So it's kind of crazy to even think like that, but that's how people are, where you're so abused by it. You're kind of just like, screw it, whatever. I'm just going to fix the window.
So you come across an individual who's on meth, and his heart rate is at 170. And let's say that person decides to, assault you or whatever. Have you ever had to like tase a guy who's in that state? And do you think tasing that person would crank him up even more and energize him, or would that really like take him out?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help the situation. Tasing is hard because it's not successful most of the time, especially if someone's high. If they are super, super high, it's like almost impossible to get a good, because taser is weird. You have to get these two prongs to actually hit with enough separation to complete a circuit. Like, if they hit really close, only like 4 inches apart, it's only going to hurt within those 4 inches. So for taser, it has to be like one in the chest and then one in the leg, and then it'll completely immobilize somebody. But yeah, it is, it's kind of like a EK, or not an EKG, but what's the thing where you shock somebody? Whatever those are, like it.
AED.
IED, whatever that, like, it'll definitely
Alpha, Elephant, Delta.
Yeah, exactly. But it, it's kind of hard.
And this happened, Prop 47 happened in 2014?
Yeah, you can.
So right about your halfway mark so far.
Yeah, I had 4 years or 5 years on at the time. So,
so do you still like being a cop?
I do. Yeah, it's definitely fun. And like, for a guy that, dropped out of college, I think I've definitely done okay for myself. And like, you could do pretty well, in California as a police officer. Cost of living is crazy out here. And in California, if you're doing manual labor or even like a skilled labor job, you have to either own your own business or work for a really, really big company to kind of make a good amount of money to live on. And so like both my parents own their own businesses, and that's what I was actually working for my dad before I became a cop. He has a painting company. And so, it's hard. You have to be really, really determined out here if you want to try to do any kind of manual labor type stuff. But I think being a police officer has changed a lot. And there are things that I don't like about it, but there's also things that I do like. I do like having a body camera all the time and being able to say like, nope, that's not what happened. This is what happened. But at the same time, if something's not on camera, then you're kind of screwed, right? So if someone says, oh, this is what happened, and I didn't record it because I thought it was so mundane that I didn't need to, then I'm screwed, and I have to now explain myself and explain why I didn't record and what did I do? Why did I do that? So it's kind of weird, but.
So what is rewarding about being a cop?
The one thing I really like is getting people their stuff back, to be honest. That's the one thing that is like, yes, like that was a good day. Like I went into some people got, they were getting kicked out of a hotel room, and I had to go, basically, they wouldn't leave. So I had to go like, hey, you're getting kicked out. It's time to go. And I open the door and I can see like the foil with the black lines. And so it's a way that people smoke heroin. And so I look in, I'm like, oh, what's up? You guys got a bunch of heroin. So their like hotel was just filled with stolen property. And so like, I never give people my like personal phone number, but I was like handing out my personal phone number to victims. Like, okay, call me back. I got this thing. I got this stuff. Like I got some lady her MacBook back. I got, all kinds of crazy stuff. And so it was those are the days where I'm like, cool. Like, because you actually have a victim and you're able to kind of make that person's day better. That's what I really like. So.
Well, I need to make a police report then. Back in November, I had a infrared camera, a FLIR camera stolen from me, and I have yet to find it.
Yeah.
I had to replace it, and they're not cheap.
I have it, Lonnie. I have it.
Actually, you'll appreciate this one, Nick. I actually did. I filled out a police report, and I said, yeah, I got the serial number, and I got a serial number for everything, but that one FLIR camera, I had an older version written down. I did not have a hard copy of of that particular FLIR number's or FLIR camera's serial number. I was like, I got all this equipment around me. I got everything here, but this one piece. And yeah, it's just. And the guy was like, well, without it. You got any special markings on it? You got your name engraved in? I'm like, no, never engraved it. I never did nothing. He goes, well, I'll take your report. But he goes, man, I'll just be honest. I was like, never mind. Never mind. So yeah, if you can come to Missouri, somewhere in a pawn shop between Columbia, Missouri and Jeff City, Missouri, I got about a $1,800 infrared camera sitting out there somewhere.
That sucks, dude. Hey, is it a good second to pause and let me go?
Yep. Sure.
I'll be right back.
Let's vamp.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we want to ask him and wrap up the cop talk, find out like any crazy stories he might have, or do you want to hop into like band chat, find out how that's coming along?
I'm okay on time. It's kind of up to you. I know we chatted for a minute. I do have a couple semi-funny questions that I want to know. But yeah, we can talk about band stuff next, and then ask about a funny story from one of them.
All right, I'm back.
Very cool. Welcome back.
Cool. Sorry,
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick, we were talking about you while you were taking care of daddy daycare issues. So I got a very serious question for you. Okay.
Sure.
What's your 10 code for needing to take a poop?
We don't use 10 codes.
You don't use 10 codes?
We don't use 10 codes. No, we don't. But we
you just grab the mic and say, Officer 28 out on a poop duty.
Yeah, we call it Code Brown.
Oh,
or if you,
nice.
So all the little scanner tweaker old people that are listening to the cops talk on the scanner, they hear Officer whatever needs to take a poop. Brown code.
No one, if you said Code Brown on the radio, you would probably catch crap for a year at least.
Forever.
But when you're talking to each other, if you just say, oh, dude, I got Code Brown, like I got to run, everyone would be like, oh, yeah, no big deal, dude, go. So,
all right. So
Nice.
Do you all have dedicated shifts?
Yeah.
I mean, like, are you the day guy, or is there a night guy, an evening guy?
Yeah, we don't rotate.
You don't rotate
unless it's voluntarily, or unless you're
my cops around here every 28 days, like a woman's period, they rotate days, nights, evenings, days, nights, evenings. It's like, and our 911 operators they rotate, and then they got a rotation system that I never quite figured out. I mean, 3 days on, 5 days off, 4 days on, 2 days off. I mean, it's like, what, huh?
No, see,
and you're on days.
Yeah, that stuff that's bad for you. Like,
it's horrible for you.
We work 4 10s, and like I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. So, and I work swings. So the way our department works is you sign up at the beginning of every year, we do ours like towards the end of the year. So at early January, everyone moves if you want to, and that's only patrol. So, like if you're in a specialty unit, like if you're detectives or if you're gangs or SWAT or something like that, you just stay where you are and your schedule stays the same the whole time, unless you want it to change, So that we used to have, a long time ago, we used to work 5/8, and the suicide rate was way higher at the time. And so one of the things one of the things that they did to change it was go to 4 10s. So that a lot of agencies do 4 10s, or they even do 3 12s to give people as many. Yeah, to give people just as many breaks, like, because you kind of need to take you need a good few days off to kind of decompress from the madness if you're working in a crazy area, So.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Do you all do ride-alongs at all?
Yeah, we have ride-alongs.
Okay. And Ruel, have you ever done a ride-along? Ruel, are you there, or did your battery die?
Wake up, Ruel.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
No.
Have you ever done a ride-along? I've done several of them.
Oh,
I've been cuffed and sitting in the front seat, so I guess that counts as a ride-along, right?
Yeah, sure.
Why would they put you in the front seat if you're cuffed?
Because my brother and 2 other buddies were cuffed in the back seat.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Okay.
That's an OG move. That dude had some years on, I guarantee you, because that's great.
Well, we pulled over a Camaro or something while we were being transported from one station to a central precinct of some sort. So we sat in the car. Oh, back in Guam, good old Guam.
Oh, that's why. That's a terrible idea to pull somebody over while you have people in the car.
My brother managed to get out of his cuffs, so he was like, dangling his cuffs, like, look what I did! Managed to get out of my cuffs. But yeah, we were harmless. We were a harmless bunch.
Oh my God, what a mess!
Well, hey, since I'm confessing everything, and Ruel just confessed, I've been arrested as well, and I actually rode in the front seat as well whenever I got arrested. I wasn't in handcuffs. I was too inebriated. Well, because I was 18, and I offered a cop a beer that out of my drunken peripheral looked just like my friend that I was like, Jeremy, you want a beer? And probably not. He's like, you come with me. I'm like, okay. And that was great. And we were in a field party, and there's 400 people out there in this field, and only me and this hot, gorgeous 16-year-old. I was 18. She was 16. I don't know her name. I remember her last name. Won't say it. But she was hot.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, after this happens, after we get let out, you want to talk? And she's like, I got to call my dad. I'm like, well, I'm 18. Yeah. I got to call my bail bondsman.
That's funny. That was the sister of Keith you shot in the neck, Keith.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so here's another honest one for you there, Nick. So about 3 doors down, I had a cop that lived by me, and he knew what he knew what my game was. I like to a few times a year I kind of get a little liquored up.
Sure.
I'd call, and I knew he was on duty, and I'd be like, hey, you need a passenger for a ride along? He's like, yeah, I'll come pick you up. Do not talk to any of my sergeants. Do not talk to nobody. But yeah, you can ride around sober up. And I'm like, all right, I'll be outside. And I tell my wife, I was like, I'm going to go for a ride along. And I was all liquored up on scotch. And one time, this was like shortly after that tater salad. What's that comedian's name? Call me tater salad. And I was drunk in public. So one night we pick up. Yeah, Ron White. Yeah. So we pick up this drunk. He was way drunker than I was. But here I was liquored up in the front seat. He's in the back seat. And I am laying it on him. I think I'm freaking hilarious. And my friend apparently thought I was pretty hilarious too, because he kept egging me on. And I'm like, so buddy, what are you getting arrested for? Are you drunk in public? And I was almost as trash as he was. Yeah. And so I'm just laying on him, and I'm sitting there thinking, I hear it. And I'm like, damn, John, you put him behind me? I got the cage behind my head, and he has the screen, the plexiglass or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, I just realized he's about to puke behind me. And I'm like, fuck you. And he's like, well, I'm going to throw you both out if you don't shut up. And so then this guy, my friend actually is like, where are you going, dude? He's like, I'm just trying to get home. And he's stumbling through a 4-lane highway, just walking out there. And I see him, and I'm like, hey, dude, don't you need to go, serve and protect this dude over here? And he's like, he's just drunk. He's just walking. Who cares? And next thing you know, we hear over the radio, officer, you're closest to the vicinity. We got a guy passed out on the sidewalk. And we pull over, and sure enough, it's that dude that we damn near almost ran over. And we pick him up, and literally me and this guy just throw him in the back seat. Didn't cuff him or nothing. And so he's taking him home. He's escorting him home. And he's like, hey, buddy, where you live? And he's like, I live at whatever. And I'm like, so the dude actually walks in. We see him. He waits for him to go in the house, and he comes running out. He goes, where am I? And we're like, well, you're at whatever you said. And he's like, I don't live here. So he walks in some house, getting escorted by the cop, and I'm drunk. And this guy, and then my buddy, he's like, oh man, I don't know what I do. He goes, hey, what's your address? Where do you live? Tell me one more time. And so he told us a different address, and we're like, that's 2 doors down, dude. And he goes, oh, okay. He walks right in and never came out. We're like, and I'm like, well, what do we do? And he's like, I don't know. And he goes, well, he's not coming out. So my guy's like, I'm out of here. Takes off, and he's just gone. I don't know what happened to the dude. I don't know if he ever made it home. Did he just crash on some other person's couch? Who knows?
Yeah.
Never heard another thing about it.
Your boy probably would have known if he got into some other person's house.
Well, probably, but I never asked and followed up. And ride-alongs, man, they're either you're driving in circles doing nothing for hours, or you're standing on the side of the road on a wreck, or we pull in on shots fired, and he's asking, you want to get out? I'm like, no, I want to squat as low in the seat as I possibly can. I don't have my side piece on me, and I'm too drunk to talk to your sergeants. And he's like, yeah, good idea. Just sit right here. And, and then one night, some lady was, I'll never forget. The lady was, I don't know what she was trashed out on. I know she was definitely drunk. And next thing you know, we get called to a car on fire. She had bashed her boyfriend over the face with a potted plant.
Nice.
Cracked his teeth out, goes outside, sets his car on fire. And I don't even know what her whole story was, because remember, every ride-along story I had already imbibed a few. So, and I'll never forget, it was the day after I got my vasectomy. and I'm standing out there. That's my only point of reference. And so we're standing out there, and next thing you know, he's cuffing her, and he's about to hook her up and take her in, and next thing you know, she's like, "Oh, I'm epileptic. I'm having a seizure." And then we had to call an ambulance, and then a female EMT person had to I ended up riding in the ambulance. The cop, the EMT lady rode in the back seat with her, and then we go to the hospital. And next thing you know, I don't know how this lady pulled this off, because she was handcuffed to the bed rails. And 1 minute she's out of her mind. She is totally just out of it, and thrashing and cussing and carrying on and screaming. And then I'm sitting there talking to the cops. And I'm like, "Hey, do I need to be in here where I'm in the emergency room with this lady and the cops, and we're in this emergency room situation?" And I was like, I was just riding along. Like, I caught a ride in an ambulance. I'm over here. I'm like, "Do I need to be here?" And the guy's like, "Well, yeah, you're fine." We look over. I don't know how the lady did, because her hands are handcuffed, but she is naked from the waist down. I don't know how she managed to pull her pants off. And so I'm like, "Hey, Sergeant, whatever his name is." I was like, "I think this escalated." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I look over, or point over, and he's like, "Well, haven't you seen a naked lady before?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." But he goes, "Well, we're good." And I'm like, "Well, okay." So she's thrashing around with no pants on, and her handcuffs, hands are handcuffed to the rails, and thrashing, and legs are flailing, and I got a full anatomy lesson from her. And I kind of fondly look back on ride-alongs.
That's some awesome ride-along story. Jesus.
Yeah. One other night we get called to a we all deem it as the nut house. I mean, it's Section 8 housing, and it is literally like everybody who lives there has a mental illness. Yeah. And so we walk in, and we walk in. This guy, I don't know what his illness is, but he's about to harm himself, and he's threatening to harm everybody else. And he's like, "Cops, why are you here?" And then he's cussing everybody, and we're there with EMTs and cops, and I'm just standing back like, that's pretty cool. And the guy's just flailing and just railing, and just, I mean, like, he's off his rocker. And then he's like, "I'm going to kill you all." And I'm like, "Ooh, this is going to get good." And I'm watching everybody put their hands on their right hip, and they're like, "Okay, you're going to kill us." And then he's like, "Yeah, and cops." And I don't know. He was just railing about politics, and you just name it. And then next thing he goes, "You know what? I love you guys." I'm like, "Whoa, where did this come from?" And so they're like, "You love us?" He goes, "Yeah, I need to pray for you." And he goes, "Everybody grab hands." So there's like 8 of us in this stranger's house apartment. We're holding hands, and he's praying like a 30-minute prayer, and in circles and rambling. And I was like, "Is this how it is every night?" And they're like, "Shh, he's praying." I'm like, "He's rambling." But anyway, so ambulance took him somewhere, and yeah, I've enjoyed my ride-along stories.
That's funny. I haven't had very many good ride-alongs.
Well,
yeah, I remember one time I was with my friend, and so he was on night shift or evening shift, and so he has his strategic potty spots where he takes a leak behind a dumpster, So we're sitting there taking a leak, and all of a sudden we get the cherries lit up on us, and they're twirling. I'm like, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, "Oh." And so he's kind of like, "What the hell? I'm on duty." And he sees my car, and then they PA over, "Hey, boys, you need to put that away and come step over here." And it was like his sergeant. And I'm like, "But I'm like freaking out because I'm taking a leak outside, in this day and age, you can't do that anymore." And they just did it just to be cute, because he was like, "I was coming back here to take a leak too, and you all beat me to it."
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, Nick, if any of Lonnie's ride-along stories brings inspiration to any of your music writing, feel free to use any one of those stories.
Right. Yeah. That's a good transition. Ruel, you're a pro.
Thank you. Tell us about the band.
Yeah, the band is called Dorothy Lane. We've been together for about 4 years, but there was a good like year break there where my brother-in-law moved to Portland, and so we kind of stopped. We just kind of assumed it was all over. And when he decided he was going to move back to the East Bay, I just said, hey, let's get the band back together. And it was kind of a no-brainer.
This sounds like a movie I saw back with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's three of us are brother-in-laws. I play guitar and sing, and then Lauren is married to my sister, and Tony is married to my younger sister, and so we all like, that's kind of how the whole band started. Was when Lauren started dating my sister, she is like, hey, Lauren's a musician, like you guys should goof off. And so we would mess around and play guitar together, and I would just learn his songs and he would learn my songs, and we would just play, mess around. And then like right at about 2015, his band fell apart and my band fell apart, and we just kind of talked to each other and we're like, dude, let's start a band together, which is weird because I live about 90 miles away from them. And so I literally just commute once a week and bring my kids, and we, everyone kind of hangs out, and we usually have like dinner together afterwards. And so it's good because I'm a good like hour away from my family. So it helps me, my kids get to see their cousins, and I get to see my family once a week. And so that's definitely a perk of it. So it is.
And since you're off on the weekends, you get to do your weekend gigs. Yeah,
exactly. I have enough seniority to get pretty good days off, so I'm lucky there. And then, yeah, so we play all around, mostly in the Bay Area, but like our next show is in Reno. So, yeah, we're just kind of plugging along. We just put out our first full-length album. It's called My Old Friend. So no matter how you listen to music, you can find us, except Pandora. Stupid Pandora won't put our music on there. I don't know why. They're dicks. So, yeah, Pandora is way more critical. I think you have to have like a label or something. I don't know why, but they don't accept our submitted to them, and I just get nothing back from them. So,
well, that's douchey.
Yeah. But anywhere else, Spotify, iTunes, it's available anywhere. So we just finished that. We finished that last summer and then put it out in January of this year. So we're kind of just focusing on shows and trying to get bigger and better shows. So
I take it you haven't gotten rich because you're still a cop by duty.
Yeah, exactly. If I can make money doing music, I definitely would. If I could make as much money as I'm making right now, I absolutely would. But it's a hard game to play. You kind of have to have the ability to be gone for months at a time. So having a family and doing this if I started 10 years ago, it could have been a little bit better. We could just go on the road, and we have a young band that we play with, and those guys, they're like, hey, we're going to go do this 11 shows in a row. Like, come with us. Like, it's all booked. Just come with us. We're like, yeah, we can't. Like, we
got families. We got a job.
My wife would kill me if I was gone for 11 days to go play music and goof off like that. We just don't have that ability. So that's one thing that will definitely separate you from the people that make it huge. So we take it seriously, and we put a lot of money into it, and we try to get good shows, and we do want to get to that point, but we definitely have some limitations, so we usually.
I get to hang out with Steve Miller June 21st.
Oh yeah, you going to see him?
Yeah. Well, somebody in the NSNG group is a production manager for Steve Miller and has been for like 25 years. And he has, he's given me tickets and stuff and backstage and like get to hang out with the crew and show up early and stay as late or long as I want. And he's like, oh, and he goes, yeah, I can sort with Steve all night long. And I'm like, yeah, you want to know the truth? I only know his songs from like 1973, and I wouldn't know what he looked like if I met him. He goes, oh, you'll get to meet him. You'll get to hang out with him. I'm like, all right, well, okay, Joker, Midnight Toker. I'm a smoker. I'm a Midnight Toker. I'm like, okay, that's my, I only know the greatest hits album from 1976 or 73 or whatever that year was. That's all I know about Steve Miller. But it's like, ooh, rock on. Yeah, Steve Miller, cool. All right.
Probably most people are like that.
Yeah.
But
so I have two serious questions for you that both tie into music and being a cop. Okay. First question is a two-parter. Who killed Tupac and who killed Biggie?
Okay.
And the second question is, did Courtney Love kill Kurt Cobain, or was that self-inflicted?
I think Kurt Cobain was self-inflicted. And I think Tupac was killed by. I think Tupac was killed by somebody within LAPD. There's actually a cool documentary that came out just recently called Unsolved.
Yeah,
but I saw it. I'm actually a crazy Tupac fan, and so
Me too. And DMX both.
Yeah, so I think.
Oh, and I got one for you guys. I'm a huge Too Short fan. He's from your area.
Yeah, Oakland, baby. That's a Too Short. Yeah. We listen to Too Short before shows. There you go. When we're writing to shows, we actually play Too Short's.
Shorty the Pimp. Yep.
Shorty the Pimp. That's the one. That's the album.
Yep. Sometimes she's shaved. Sometimes she's hairy. Yep. It's like lyrical porn right there. So perfect. Sounds like that pregnant. That sounds like that pregnant pause is time for you to tell us one of your crazy stories from your band days or being a cop, or just tell us one of your crazy funny stories.
Yeah, let me get these kids out of here real quick. Hang on.
All right.
Can we go up there?
Go outside.
Can we go up there?
I love it.
He's sleeping. Go out here. Out here.
Ruel was on the phone with Vinny the other night, and when Stella stood up for the first time in like 3 days after she had her tumor, so I was on the phone when Serena and Vinny were just like all kinds of ecstatic. Wow, she's standing up. She's standing up. She's go outside and go potty. Let's go potty. Let's go potty. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool,
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back. We were vamping while you were
back. I'm back. I don't necessarily have any crazy stories from band stuff. I can't really.
You don't get offers from groupies. You don't have people taking their tops off and throwing them at you. You don't have.
We're definitely not that kind of band. But I could probably think of a million crazy stories from work, but the one that stands out to me the most was it was a shooting, and I totally thought the dude was dead, and he had been shot. Like, I'm literally looking at a bullet hole in the back of this dude's head, and there's blood everywhere, and his girlfriend is like crying over him. And so I had a trainee, and I'm like, hey, this is a homicide. So let's put on gloves. We need to get her off of him. We need to start putting up tape. We need to start doing all these things. And as we grab the girlfriend and get her off of him, he like pushes himself up and starts screaming. And he literally was like he wasn't responding to anything. Like his brain was still kind of working, but not at the same time. So I'm like calling him by his name. I'm like, dude, you gotta chill out. Like, what's, lay down. And he was just like screaming. And of course he's just this huge guy. And so when he actually got up, I like screamed out loud, like, oh shit. like, oh my God, he's alive. Like
Oh wow!
full on thought this dude was dead. Like, okay, like, well, this is terrible, but let's deal with it the way I have to teach this guy to do it. And because I was an FTO at the time, a field training officer, so I'm trying to just get this whole thing figured out, and then the guy gets up and starts running around, just completely
with a bullet in the back of his head.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa! He's running around and screaming and
yeah, exactly. So that is definitely one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So the dude was
what happened to him?
I think he actually survived. Well, he got shot, but I think he actually survived and just kind of was missing part of his, just happens to be missing part of his brain. I think he kind of he's obviously just not all there anymore. So I don't really remember because we just did the initial, took statements, did everything, and assumed it was going to be a homicide. And somebody told me that guy actually survived. So I don't really.
No kidding. So you're starting to question witnesses and put up scene tape and everything, and then he starts running around.
I'm literally just standing over him, telling my trainee, like, hey, we're gonna, this is a homicide, so let's do this and let's do this. And so, yeah,
Did you ever find the guy that shot him?
No, we didn't, but I'm sure our department did, but I have no idea. I don't even follow up on stuff like that. So we deal with those so often that I just kind of take it for what it is. And I haven't had to go to court regarding it. So that's the only way I would really find out. But
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot. I know what that looks like in a house, at least.
Right. Yeah.
But I've never had the person, almost said perp, but I've never had the person like still sitting around by the time I got there to deal with the aftermath. Wow.
Yeah, that was
shot in the head. What caliber was it?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
Okay.
Was it a BB gun?
No, it was definitely a real gun. But
definitely a real gun.
His name was Keith.
Didn't matter.
Yeah. It was interesting. But that was crazy. I remember I asked the fire department, like the firemen that showed up to work on him. I said, what is happening here? And they said, he just doesn't know he's dead yet. It's like,
he doesn't know he's dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to have nightmares. So let's just.
What?
Oh God.
Yeah.
So he was nonchalant. He just doesn't know he's dead yet. And
I think
you're watching him run around.
I think they were just kind of joking, like, oh,
sure.
He's
that's that dark humor we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just obviously, whatever. I don't know, but that was definitely the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But I'm glad I'm glad he got up because we wouldn't have even known. I would have got down and checked him and may or may not have found a pulse and just been like, all right, I don't know what this, I don't know what to do with this guy. And thankfully he got up. I'm like, oh, yep, he's alive. All right, well, hell. So that was interesting.
Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I've shared some crazy stories. That one, I don't know that I can top that one, but since you have a restoration guy on the horn here, I mean, have you ever dealt with a water restoration guy, or I mean, do you have any questions about mold damage or water cleanup or?
How bad is black mold actually? I feel like it's not really that bad, and people just do it to scare people. They say oh, you definitely need to tear out all the sheetrock in your house.
And that is very true. How bad is it? That's up for debate. That is, everybody is different. So I've literally walked into people's houses. We've had all the mold protocol air tests done. The counts have come back within the normal, slightly elevated, but just barely elevated from normal. And they're having all kinds of reactions. And then I've literally walked into people's houses. They got mushrooms growing from their ceiling, floor joists in the basement. They got just a botanical garden growing in their basement, and they're old and they had no idea, and they've never been downstairs and they've never had an issue. So it's all relative. Some people react very badly to it. The black mold, when you say black mold, it's actually one of about 12 or 15 different types of molds, different names. But the one that when you Google black mold on on Google, there you're mainly talking about Stachybotrys. That is the one that does put out they do put out some toxic mycotoxins. Most people do have a reaction to it. Now, can I, as a mold remediation guy, tell you that it's going to cause bleeding of the lungs, brain hemorrhaging, memory loss, ataxia, all these medical ailments? I can't tell you that. I don't know. So yes, there is some real threat to it. And the reason why you got to pull it out is because once it does grab a hold of the sheetrock, unfortunately, like 75-80% of the materials in your home is food for mold and black mold. So once it grabs a hold, there's nothing out there that kills it. There's no spray. There's nothing out there that kills mold. In fact, most of the mold that is released into the air that everybody, I got mold. Most of it is dead from the moment it's released. Ruel, are you still on the horn? His battery.
Still here.
Okay. What's the word for when mold releases their spores? What's that term called? I'm just quizzing you. Pop quiz.
That's the spore ejaculant.
Well, close. Sporulation. It's the same as male ejaculation, basically.
That's what I was.
So most of it,
something like that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. You're sporulating, Ruel. Man, can't you just give it 10 more minutes?
Right.
So most of it's already, everybody wants to kill the mold. Well, most of it's already dead from the time it's released, but it's just as toxic and just as allergenic as a living mold spore. And once it grabs a hold and starts growing on your sheetrock and stuff, that's why the sheetrock needs to be pulled out. We don't typically have to pull out the studs and the bottom plates and the framing because we can actually nuke that to the point where we do have some chemicals that releases that we can spray on it that will release the mold from the surface, and then we vacuum it out and wipe it out and air scrub it out. So that's why the sheetrock has to be pulled out, because once it's gotten a hold of the sheetrock, it'll always come back as soon as the humidity gets just right. And if you don't kick your AC on just the right time, then it'll start pulling just moisture out of the air, and it'll start flourishing and growing again. So there is some hype, but there's some reality to it as well. So that's why you hear about mold being ripped, all the sheetrock being ripped out in a mold remediation system or situation.
I just want to make sure I'm not getting ripped off.
Oh, you got a mold situation in your house?
No, but if I do, I'll call you.
Yeah, that's right.
Please do, because most of the guys that are out there, they're not doing it right. They're not trained. They're not licensed. They just like go in and they screw it up way worse. Then when they make it way worse, I mean, what would be an expensive date with a guy like me, by the time you get the cheap guy that's going to come in and I've seen this 100 times. I've come in, I've given them in contract a not to exceed number. Let's say it's $20,000. Okay. Not to exceed. I promise you, here's contract signatures, date and everything. I will not exceed this dollar amount right here. And then, I'm 20,000 and some guy will come in at $6,000 and it's like, good luck with that. And I've heard from most of those people that, do you know what that $6,000 guy ended up costing me? I'm like, no, I know what they're going to tell me. I just don't know how much. And they're like, I ended up paying $37,000 for the same thing that you said I could do for $20,000 with contracts. I'm like, that's just how it goes. I mean, done right is expensive, but there's nothing more expensive than a messed up job. So, and the cheap guys are always going to mess it up. I promise you.
Yeah.
So there's no sprays, there's no juice, there's nothing that's going to kill it. It's actually talked about in Leviticus chapter 15 in the Old Testament, if you want to, and what we do in 2019 matches almost verbatim. We just don't have a priest involved anymore like they did in the, Jewish Old Testament. But
Talking about black mold in the Bible?
Well, it talks about green growth. So, and black mold, by the way, can be pink, green, gray, brown, black. It's usually black, but it can be blue. It's based on the color of any mold is based on the substrate, the food source. So drywall, the latex paint, the type of wood, there's 1,000 different conditions that causes the color changes, but it can be pink. I see more pink black mold than I see black mold. So
black mold was actually Dorothy Lane's original band name, by the way.
Black mold, kind of like Black Flag with Henry Rollins.
Yeah, and then our CD covers were just a bunch of like shitty pictures of mold on people's walls.
And let me guess, it didn't go over that well.
No, it didn't.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
I think definitely.
But I can't tell you that your lungs are going to bleed if you breathe black mold. I can't answer to that.
Right. Sweet.
Awesome.
Well, Ruel, you want to close us out?
Yeah, I want to thank Nick for coming on the show. Finally able to get you on. This has been fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Right,
yeah, I've enjoyed this.
I'm glad. So on behalf of Lonnie and Nick and myself,
this is Service Guys Podcast with Lonnie Beecham, and I want to tell you, get your life back to normal.
They'll get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It, Restoration.
Hey everybody, it's Ruel. I am dialed in for this call 2 minutes ahead of time. And I've got 31% on my phone, so it'll be interesting. Hopefully I have enough juice to last the call. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Nice day today. All right. Awesome. Really? I guess funny. While I'm waiting, I'm just killing all these apps that have been backgrounded on my phone forever. There's a ton of them. My God. All right. Hey
guys.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Lonnie hears you.
All right.
Why do you need floaties?
Nick's on it. Nick's on. He's trying to figure stuff out.
Okay.
But I could see him on video. This is going to be interesting because I hope I have enough juice on this phone to stay on the whole thing. I'm 26%.
Oh, well, you ain't got that much. Well, dude, you if your phone dies, then the whole thing disconnects.
Nah, it'll stay on.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to be part of it then.
No, I don't. That's why if you ever had a need to record, I could just set it up, and then you can just go in and do what we usually do.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression you had to be more of an active participant, or at least on mute or something. Who are we talking to, Nick?
Yeah, Nick Knobs. He's got a band, Dorothy Lane, or he's part of a band, Dorothy Lane.
Oh, what a day, man. Hey. What a day.
It's already been a doozy for you?
It's been a day. Chemo number 5 did not happen. It's some day next week. And Mom has basically told the doctor she's not doing the stem cell transplant thing. And I can't encourage her to do it, knowing the pros and cons. I just told her, Mom, I support you 100%. I got you. I'll make whatever happen, or whatever needs to happen, I'll make it happen. So she's like, so you don't think I need to do it? And I'm like, I can't answer that one because it's rough, dude. It is rough. The stem cell transplant is rough.
Man, that sucks.
Hitting her with the sounds like they hit her with the highest dose known to man of worth of chemo, and she's not doing good with the lower dose of chemo. So, yeah, we're waiting on him to figure something out.
Oh yeah, I see his video feed, but we're not hearing each other.
Once you turn the video off, we know how podcasts are made. Turn the video off.
I'm chatting with him right now.
Okay. And I guess you're recording all this?
Yeah, this is recording at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah. We're still having.
Aren't you a IT guy? Don't you know how to carry a battery pack?
It's funny. I think this thing has been sapping more juice faster than. I've
noticed that too. Like I can go from 85% down to 57 in like 10 minutes. And then last night I was on the phone with somebody with 8% battery life for 30 minutes. It's like, what the hell?
I'm sending him. He doesn't see any of us, so I'm gonna have him retry.
Well, I'm not on video.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe it's a matter of he just needs to unmute. He's fine.
Could be that simple.
I have how's it going, Nick?
What's up, guys? For some reason, I had headphones plugged into the computer. I couldn't even tell. So I went to.
Hey, Nick.
What's
Nick,
that?
this is Lonnie Beecham. How you doing?
What's up, Lonnie Beauchamp?
Yeah. Only a select few can call me Beauchamp.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Says I'm the host now.
Oh, okay. Thanks for hosting us, Nick.
I feel special.
Oh, got a little kickback audio coming from your speaker, I guess, into your mic.
Oh yeah, probably. Let me.
I hear you both fine.
Yeah, it was just a moment. I don't hear it anymore.
Oh, okay, cool. I can put on headphones if that's better.
Oh, I think we're good. We're good.
So we got a music guy without proper mic equipment, and we got an IT guy without proper battery equipment. This ought to run good.
Perfect. It's gonna go well.
It's gonna go exactly as planned.
Yeah, if people only knew.
Right.
Yeah. So, Nick, where are you? You're in Sacramento or further up or what?
It's closest to like Folsom.
Okay. Okay.
So that's where the men are men and the sheep are women?
Something like that. I don't know, like Johnny Cash Folsom.
Yeah.
They
sorry, Nick, I don't even know you, and I'm kind of busting your balls. That's just kind of how I roll, dude. But you're a cop. You're used to that brotherhood shit, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't get it. That's perfect. Do you guys cuss on this podcast?
Try. Yeah, we do. I mean, like, I don't really care. I just try not to, because. But yeah, I don't like put an explicit thing out there, and I don't care if it's bleeped out or not. I mean,
no, I don't really care. I was just sure. I was asking more because if you didn't want me to, I can definitely not cuss.
No, just be real, man. Just be real.
Yeah, that works. How long have you guys been doing this now?
I don't know, 3, 5, 6 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember when Ruel was talking about it a long time ago. He was mentioning having me on this one for, I don't know, it was a while ago.
Yeah, and we've talked about doing it for years, but Ruel knows me by now. I'm just kind of procrastinator by nature, and finally here we are. So have you listened to our show at all? Do you know anything what the format is?
I wasn't even aware that it was up. Like I usually just talk with Ruel through Facebook, and then I didn't even I never even got notified. I didn't know it was even available yet. So I'll definitely check it out.
Nick, are you part of Ruel's NSNG page?
I think so. I should be. I don't go on Facebook as much as I could, just because there's too much shit on there.
Right.
I would think I am. I'm definitely friends with Ruel on Facebook. I know that.
Yeah, I regret making that decision 7 years ago.
I don't blame you.
I
hate that guy.
Well, kind of the format of this show is it's conversational.
Yeah.
Ruel kind of kicks us off. We end it very awkwardly. In the middle, we just have a conversation. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about you tell us about your music background. Your being a cop. It's a service guys podcast, and I'm a blue collar guy, and when we all get together, we share war stories and funny stories and crazy stories. And as a cop, you should have probably even in being in a band, you probably got stories for days. So at some point we'll ask about a wild, crazy, funny, hilarious story or something that you got, and then we'll end it awkwardly, and then I'll give you a chance to. I'm in the water damage mold remediation business and carpet cleaning, so we'll ask if you have any questions, anything, just throw it at me. This is very unscripted, so just whatever you got, just think of something in the meantime, and Ruel knows you better. I'm going to let him take more of the lead on this, and let him kick it off, and let's put on a show.
How does my audio sound now? Does it sound a little bit better?
No.
Or can you
Sounds
like Chewbacca.
It sounds deeper now.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds worse now?
The way you had it before sounded
okay,
fine.
Cool. I'm trying to hook up my
whole studio in my house that I can hook up to.
It's because Lonnie was busting your balls about audio.
It
right?
was. It absolutely was. I take it personally.
Yeah.
I have like hundreds of dollars of studio crap in here that I could be using, and I'm not even touching it.
How do I sound? I got a $30 Apple earbud mic.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Sounds perfect.
All right.
I can't play music to save my life. My baby brother can't read music to save his life, but he can play any instrument and sing and play drums and lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass guitar, some African drum things, banjo. I mean, piano. I was at a family gathering one day and I'm hearing a piano playing. I'm like, sounds like Crazy Train. I've never heard Crazy Train on a piano. I'm like, is that Crazy Train? Sure enough, I go in, Trey's like keying out just by ear.
That's awesome.
Pounding out Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne Crazy Train on the piano. Go figure. I was like, that's kind of cool.
That's funny. So just to kind of let you guys know, I have my kids are like playing out front, and I have one kid sleeping. So are you guys able to like pause at any time and come back? Or
sure.
If I had to run.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we'll just let it roll, and then we'll do the edits at the end. We've done that a lot. Yeah. Don't want your kids to be in trouble.
Okay, cool. And then I won't, if you guys are cool with it, I'm not going to say what agency I work for just because I can get like technical permission to represent them. So I don't want to do that and put myself in a weird spot.
Perfect.
But I'll just say Northern California.
Or leave it in California.
Yeah.
I don't even know where California is on the map. So
it's all those weirdos by the coast.
It's next to Guam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll kick it off.
All right, sweet.
Okay.
This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production.